Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Coming up in today's episode, red hot striker linked with Forest. Murillo is wanted by Atletico Madrid, and an offer is expected today on Miguel, but Corinthians are fighting back. All this and plenty more coming up on your news today. Let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, or good night. I hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Forest news. As always, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And don't forget, double framed signed shirts from Murillo and Niakate being given away by Football Prizes. The link's in the comments, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. Okay, let's jump into this and let's talk about this red hot striker that's been linked with Forest. Maximilian Beier, something like that, B-E-I-E-R, from Hoffenheim. This guy is red hot right now, scoring 16 goals in just over 30 appearances for them last season, and literally come out of nowhere. He's been on there, he's been with them for a couple of years, went out on loan last year to Hanover, and has come back and has turned into a bit of a worldie in the Bundesliga. Now, he hasn't done much before this season. That's my problem with him. But he's extremely young. He's 21 years old, and he's just bagging him in for fun at the moment. And that has drawn the eyes of not only Forest, but also Manchester United and Liverpool. Forest are really trying to buy who they want right now. So the valuation on him is about 30 million euros, but he actually has a release clause at 27.5 million pounds, that is. So if Forest wanted to splash the cash out, they could go and get him. But the likely scenario here is that Forest would only persist this interest if someone like West Ham were to come in and take Taiwo, maybe spend 25 mil on him, and then do a straight swap for Maximilian. By the way, how cool is his first name? So, do I see this one happening? Maybe, but it would depend on Taiwo. Now, what kind of player is he? He's quite tall. He's about 6'1". He's very lean. He doesn't look like he should be a striker. His body type for me looks like a shorter version of a Peter Crouch. But he is deceptively good on the ball in terms of his finishing, predominantly right-footed, can put it away with his left foot, but is a good dribbler on the ball as well, and has a little bit of skill and flair to him. And despite his lean body type, he's actually quite strong on the ball. Where he does struggle is sometimes with his first touch. And even though he's over 6 foot, he doesn't tend to score too many with his head. Maybe because he prefers just putting him in with his feet. I like this profile of player a lot, but it is a lot of money for Forest to risk on a person who you could say, you know, to put an ant terminology, has had a purple patch. Because he's been in and around the scene for a couple of years, didn't really light the world on fire on his loan spell, and has suddenly gone from a valuation of 300 odd K to nearly 30 million in a season. That is big progress. Now, he's had one appearance on the German international scene. He's played at their under 1917s, etc., but is really sought after. And the word on the street is he probably will be moving this summer. But I like him, and he fits the profile that Forest are now currently looking to build at the team around. That's young players with potential who they can get for cheap. Now, we may look at 27.5 million and think, whoa, that would be like our second or third most expensive signing. But you have to realize that come July the 1st, Forest become a quote-unquote fully fledged Premier League team with 105 loss allowed on PSR and all that, you know, good stuff that comes with it. And with a striker, these valuations can double, triple, etc. overnight. Just as we've seen with Maximilian, his price has gone, you know, times 30-fold almost. So if Forest could get him for 27.5 million, he has a hot season. His valuation would almost certainly go straight up to 70 million. And at 21 years old, he still has plenty of years, not only to improve, but just to get better and better as it goes along. Now, the question is always going to be, can he cut it in the Premier League? Well, Taiwo went from the Bundesliga across to the Premier League. Miguel went from the Bundesliga across the Premier League. Niakate went from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. So we have good examples of players who can make the switch locally to Forest quite comfortably. And I always have felt that the Bundesliga is probably the most similar league in terms of style compared to the other European leagues when you compare it to the Premier League. And as you guys know, if historically watched this channel, that I do like players from the Bundesliga because I do feel there are deals to be had. However, this will definitely depend as well on the interest of Manchester United and Liverpool in him. Both teams are looking for potentially another striker, and it looks like out of the two, Man United have shown the most interest. What I will say though is every single player and his son, dog and grandma all get linked to Manchester United to try and speed processes up along, to try and boost the transfer fees, etc. But with this deal, we know there's a ceiling of 27.5 million. Now, could Forest negotiate something a bit lower down? Potentially, but it would depend on the competition and if other teams get involved in him. Now, I'm up for this one. I think, yes, it's a lot of money to chuck at a striker, but believe me, if you've seen him play, you can see that potential. And it's not even so much potential, it's confidence in front of goal. And I like him, and he would get my approval. Do you guys agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, let's move on to the second story, and that is, of course, about Murillo and yet another club who have kind of been linked with him before, and now linked again, and that's Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid are showing a keen interest in Murillo as they look to bolster up their defensive lineup. Now, the talk is Simeone is a big fan of Murillo, and the talk is that Murillo potentially wouldn't even go there as a starter. He would need to prove himself and then work his way into the team, but Simeone would be up for it. And would Murillo be interested in a move to La Liga? Well, if you're going to move to the La Liga as a defender, then the best defensive coach there, without a shadow of a doubt, and maybe across Europe, would be Simeone. So working under Simeone, you could see as being very attractive to a young defender, and especially one who speaks Portuguese, and there's a lot of crossover, obviously, between Spanish and Portuguese, so a language barrier wouldn't be a problem for him. In fact, he would be quite comfortable, I think, in that league. However, I still don't think it's time to sell Murillo. And we are now getting to a stage where we're down to about 13 days before the dreaded 30th of June deadline comes in. And any deals that need to be happening should be already being talked about right now. And this at the moment is just a link. And it feels like all the main three, the Callum Hudson-Odoi, the Morgan Gibbs-White, and the Murillo stuff has all gone a little quiet right now, and it's all down to kind of links rather than potential offers coming in. Now, that could be obviously because we got the Euros going on, the Copa America is about to kick off as well, so focuses are lying elsewhere. But the 30th of June deadline is still a real thing. And with Forest looking potentially to buy players themselves, then you start to wonder, how much trouble are we really in? Because that brings us on to our next story, which is Miguel. Now, Miguel played what everyone believes is his last game yesterday against Sao Paulo for Corinthians, where it finished in a 2-2 draw, where yet again he made some worldy saves. Those camera shot saves went down, and he got himself booked for getting into a bit of a scuffle with what looked like a 2-foot player against him as he shoved him to the floor like he was swatting away a fly. Now, the mood in Corinthians in terms of the fan base has definitely changed on Carlos Miguel, because they're like, bro, you could have been a hero here. You could have been the greatest Brazilian in the last 10-20 years. Why are you doing it to us? We got one of my mates coming on, and we'll have a video out on Miguel shortly to give you guys the full background on him. However, the expectation now, if you believe the reports, and I'm still not yet fully convinced, but Forest are expected to put in a bid on his release clause today. Now, the understanding is that personal terms have been agreed between the player and the club, as in Forest, so that's all ready to go. But the problem is, of course, that PSR deadline. So if Forest are putting a bid in today for the 4 million euros, which is what, £3.5 million, then you start to think to yourself, maybe this is a positive. Either Forest are really reckless and stupid and are just like, screw PSR, we're going to do what we want to do, or they are very confident that they will get those player sales over the line before PSR catches up with us. Now, the twist in this story is there are now reports that Corinthians are not willing to let him go and are about to table a new contract offer for Carlos Miguel to keep him at the club. But sources close to him are saying that his heart is already set on leaving Brazil and making the move into the Premier League. They keep saying to him, you potentially won't be first choice. You're guaranteed your spot here. You can make a name and a reputation for yourself. But he is confident enough in his own ability that he believes if he were to come to Nottingham Forest, he would hold down that #1 shirt spot. I mean, his competition really is only Matt Sells currently, as the other two look set to depart Nottingham Forest. But we will keep you posted on this, and look out for our video on Miguel coming up in the next day or two, which will really give you a deep perspective and an understanding from him from the Brazilian side of the equation. But get your thoughts in. Do you think Forest are in much PSR trouble as everyone is making out? Or if we do put this bid in, do you think it's a good sign? Let me know in the comments down below. And that brings you up to date with your Forest transfer news today. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And go quickly grab your tickets for the double-signed framed one-of-a-kind shirt, Murillo and Niakate. We'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.